Action and adventure TV shows channel from Comedy MX spotlights Tarzan, Rin Tin Tin, Zorro, complete Saturday matinee serials Captain Zero, Annie Oakley, The Big Picture, Korea and Vietnam Wars, and more. The thrills and chills never stop at Comedy MX. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
Sgt Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sgt Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by the Northwest Mounted Police, an outpost of civilization, where at the turn of the century, thousands of rugged individuals in search of gold faced overwhelming hardships and unknown perils. The Klondike area east of Dawson, where some men prospected for gold, while others made a living as trappers. On winter patrol, Sgt Preston decided to stop long enough to see his friends, the Tanner brothers, who lived in an isolated area about 4 miles south of Placerville. Preston knew that Tom, about 2 years older, had always been protective toward Sam.
Ho, ho! Well, that's something new. 2 front doors and a small cabin.
Hi there, Sgt. Preston.
How are you, Sam? Hey, why the new front door? Divide the house?
Sort of. Sgt. Preston.
Hello, Tom.
Welcome. Come on in. Come in my side.
All right. You stay here with the team, will you, King? I don't think I'll be very long. Well, things have changed around here since your father died. What's that?
Divides the room.
Oh? You mean each of you lives separately on his own side of the cabin, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I knew your father, and I've known both of you for a long time. And I've never heard of you having a misunderstanding.
We didn't when Dad was alive.
Your dad's been dead for less than a month, and already you're dividing the property. Now, what happened?
Well, the trouble
I'll
began
tell you,
when...
Sergeant. You're on my side of the house, so I'll do the talking. You called on me.
I called on both of you. Excuse me. All right. Now, I'm on both sides of the cabin. Now, what's this all about?
Well, when Dad died, he left us $2,000 in cash and a gold claim.
And this cabin.
We divided the cash. Then I wanted to sell the claim and split the money we'd get from it between us.
We should work that claim.
I'm a trapper, not a miner. What's more, I think the claim's no good. Dad never got a thing from it.
Well, he could have if he'd spent some money for machinery. I wanted to use our cash to buy the equipment we need.
Not my share.
You divided the cabin over a misunderstanding of the gold claim, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam, if you don't think the claim is any good, and Tom does, maybe he'd buy your share for the $1,000. Would you sell it for that?
Well, sure, that would solve everything.
Well, yeah, it sure would. I didn't think of that.
Neither did I. I'd be glad to sell my share for $1,000.
It's a deal. Well, it'll take all my cash, but the bank will lend me money for machinery.
All right, then it's settled. There'll be no more fighting. Now shake hands like a couple of men and forget the argument. You know, if you two weren't so bull-headed and hot-headed and stubborn, you'd have thought of this yourselves.
Well, we're just like Dad, hot-headed and stubborn. I'll go into town right away, Sam, and I'll draw my money out of the bank.
Well, I'll go in with you and sign over my interest.
If you're going into Placerville, Sergeant, we could go in together.
No, I have a few stops to make. You go on ahead of me. Maybe I'll see you in town, huh?
Okay.
Hey, Tom,
Yeah?
You, stepped over the line.
What line?
After completing his business in the area, Sgt Preston headed for town. It was a perfect Yukon day despite the temperature being well below zero. When he arrived on the outskirts of town, he was in a happy frame of mind, looking forward to a visit with old friends. For it was here in this pleasant village where the lawman was first stationed when he came to the Klondike.
Sgt Preston. Constable Drake, how are you? Fine. Hello there, King. I knew you and the sergeant would be here soon.
Oh, you knew?
Yes, Sam Tanner came by. Said that you were on the way.
Here, I've got some mail for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Tom Tanner, I wonder what's eating him.
I don't know. Let's find out. Is Sam still in your office?
Yes.
Something's going on in there.
Stephen, stay. Break that up. Come on, break it up, I said.
That's enough.
Sam swindled me.
That's a lie, both of you. What do you mean Sam swindled you?
He unloaded his share of the mine on me, took all my money.
I was the one who suggested the deal. Wasn't Sam's idea.
Ever since Dad died, he's wanted to sell that mine. He didn't have the nerve to try to sell his interest to me. He probably figured I'd turn him down. But when you suggested it, he jumped at the chance.
Well, of course he did, but...
Well, he could have told me that the mine was worthless.
Worthless?
Yes, and I think you knew it all along.
Who said it was worthless?
The bankers. They wouldn't lend me enough money to buy machinery to work the claim. He says he investigated the mine when my dad tried to borrow money.
Oh, Tom, I didn't know that.
I'd like to believe you, Sam, but you could always pull the wool over my eyes.
Listen, Tom, to prove I had no intention of taking advantage of you, I'll buy back my share.
You will?
Of course I will.
That should prove that Sam acted in good faith.
Well, yeah, it's mighty square of you, Sam.
I'll have to draw my money out of the bank, Tom. Is it still open?
No, they were closing when I left, but there's no hurry, Sam. I'm sorry I lost my temper.
No, it's all right. Forget it, Tom.
So you fought again needlessly.
Well, it was my fault, Sergeant. I knew Sam was in here, and I came rushing in and called him a swindler and started swinging. Come on up at the cafe, Sam. I'll treat.
Oh, thanks, Tom, but I got to get back to my trap lines. You know, I've lost a lot of time, and, well, it's going to be way after dark when I finish.
Will you be in town for a while?
Well, I'm going to check on the Indian village, Tom. I expect to be back here tomorrow before I start out for Dawson.
Well, we hope to see you again, Sergeant.
Well, I hope so. And keep the lid on those tempers, huh?
Sure will.
Oh, Tom, what do you call that gold claim of yours?
The Black Ace.
With a load of medical supplies on his sled, Preston set out for a Cochin Indian village to the northeast. One of the many duties of the police was to prevent epidemics by making periodic inspections of the Indian settlements. The Black Ace mine of the Tanner brothers was located in the hills above the famous El Dorado strike. For a while it had paid off well, but now the area was considered mined out and most of the prospectors had left. Only a few remained behind to eke out an existence from mine tailings, the scant residue of ore that remains in a worn-out mine. Unknown to the Tanner brothers, 3 men had been at work in the old mine tunnel for some time, illegally accumulating a small amount of gold from the tailings.
Home, such as it is. Well, at least it's a shelter. That is until the Tanner brothers discover what we're doing.
I guess Blackie's still working in the tunnel.
Hey, Slade, Nick, we struck it rich. Gold. I was poking at the tunnel wall with my pick. This big hunk of rock fell down, and there it was. Gold. Gold!
Well, I gotta be shown.
Come on. Well, the fellows that worked this claim gave up a little too soon.
Well, speak up. Is it gold?
Yes, it's gold.
I told you, we're rich.
Gold? Why?
Calm down, both of you. We're no better off now than we were before. We don't own this claim.
But we found the gold, didn't we?
Sure. We stole a few dollars worth of gold from the tailings. But we can't get out with any real pay dirt unless we own the mine.
Well, we take away from the guys that own it.
Yeah.
Now, the tanners think it's worthless.
They do?
Yeah, I heard talk about it while Nick and I are in town. Hey, we'll call on them.
Do you know where they live?
Yeah, about 4 miles the other side of town. Now, we'll start right away.
Yeah, but it's almost dark and snow's coming.
Don't matter. I can find the cabin. Now, Blackie, you stay here at the shack and see that nobody comes prowling around. Nick and I will visit the tanners, and we'll come back with that title one way or another.
That evening, shortly after dark, Slade and Nick were on their way to the Tanner cabin.
Hello, Tanner.
Howdy, gents. What can I do for you?
My name's Slade. I saw you in town this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. I thought you looked familiar. I saw you there, too.
Nick Smith.
Howdy. Howdy.
Tanner, we're here on business. Heard about a worthless mine your father left.
And the Black Ace.
Yeah, we were looking the place over and decided it'd be a good location for a sawmill. Good timber in the hills.
Oh, there's better places for a sawmill.
Maybe, but we like this location. Mind showing me your title?
No, I don't mind, but
Well, we might make a deal to buy the place if the title's in order.
I'll get it.
Where's your brother?
He's out running his traps. He ought to be back pretty soon, though. There it is.
According to this, you're the sole owner.
Well, yeah, but my brother expects to buy a half interest.
How much do you want for the property?
Well, I'd have to talk that over with my brother first. And before we made any decisions, I'd want to go out and look at the mine. We haven't been there since Dad died. I'm not sure the Black Ace has been worked out. Come back in a couple of days. Might be able to make a deal.
We want a deal now.
Not a chance.
We came to get title of that property. Now, if necessary, we'll get rough.
Well, you might be able to take it by force, but the property won't be yours unless I sign it over.
You'll sign it over.
Not a chance.
You said your brother was coming back soon. Now, when he walks in that door, we'll have a drop on him, too. Now, you'll sign the mine over to us, or watch him die.
Why are you laughing? I'll fix him.
Don't shoot. We need him alive.
Well, hold him still so I can slug him, will you?
I didn't mean to do it, Nick. Come on, Tanner. I need your signature.
I'll take him down to my office and I'll give him a thorough examination to learn the cause of death.
He was shot.
Yeah, but I'm not sure the bullet killed him. We don't even know his identity. The way the fire burned everything, it was...
One of the Tanner brothers shot him, no doubt. Sgt Preston. Morning, Sergeant. We've been waiting for you.
Morning, Constable. I heard about this when I got back to town this morning. Hello, Dr. Morgan.
Nice to see you, Sergeant.
A trapper brought word that Tanner's cabin had burned. He said he thought there was a body in the ruins, so I brought the coroner and a sled.
One of the Tanner brothers?
Identification's very difficult. Maybe impossible. You can see what the fire did to the building.
Must be one of the Tanner brothers. Who else would be in the cabin?
It's a hard way to die.
Dr. Morgan found that he'd been shot.
Shot?
Yeah, it's likely he was dead before the fire touched him. Of course, I can't tell.
Sergeant, this is a murder case. Either Sam or Tom is a killer.
You seem very sure.
I am sure, Sergeant. Those brothers have been feuding ever since their father died. You remember yesterday in my office they were fighting.
Oh, yes, they were quarreling. But not deadly enemies. Furthermore, they settled their argument.
I think they renewed the feud last night. One shot the other, then fled.
How do you account for the fire?
The killer probably set fire to the cabin in the hope of destroying evidence of murder. We'll find the brother who's alive and arrest him for murder.
What is it, King? Look.
Sam Tanner.
Still think he's a fugitive from justice?
Probably came back when he realized we'd find him sooner or later.
Hello there, King. How are you, boy?
I've never seen King friendly to a man that had committed murder.
Sergeant, shall I question Tanner?
And this case is in your territory, Constable. You take charge. Hello, Sam.
Tanner, where have you been? Tell us everything you did from the time you left town yesterday.
Well, I left Tom in town and started working my traps. I got a late start, so I didn't get finished till after dark. When I got here, I found the cabin was burned to the ground. There were a lot of flames around, and I saw tracks leading from the shed from the...
Tracks, eh?
Well, yes, sir. They were tracks made by a man pulling a toboggan, and they came out of the shed.
A toboggan?
Well, it was a small toboggan that Tom and I used for hauling wood. We kept it in that shed. Well, I tried to follow the tracks, hoping I'd find my brother.
Been following the tracks all this time?
No, sir. I couldn't follow them very far. The storm got so bad. I lost my bearings, so I camped till daylight. Then I realized I'd been traveling around in a circle.
Maybe a pal got hurt in the battle and Sam took him away on the sled, leaving Tom in the ruins to burn up.
What was that about, Tom?
Sam, a body was found in the ruins of the cabin. It can't be identified.
Must be your brother, and he was shot. Know anything about it?
No.
We know you and your brother were fighting. Did you kill him?
No, of course not. My brother dead? Sergeant, those tracks, the ones that I thought belonged to Tom, they must have been made by the one who killed my brother.
It's quite possible, Sam.
The evidence is against you, Tanner. Evidence that you're the one who killed Tom. You started the fire hoping to destroy the evidence of murder, didn't you, Sam?
No, I didn't know anything about it.
Tanner, I'm holding you on suspicion of murder. Unless the sergeant overrides me.
Your case, Constable. Hold him if you think it's the thing to do.
I do think so.
Now, wait.
Sergeant, please don't let him take me. I've got to find the man who made those tracks. I thought they were made by Tom because a toboggan was missing from the shed, but now if he's dead, those tracks must have been made by the killer. I've got to find him. I've got to find the man who killed my brother.
Now, take it easy, Sam. We'll follow the criminal if we can pick up his scent.
The tracks are gone. I suppose the scent is, too.
No, the scent will stay in the air. The King can follow it if he has something to start with. We'll do our best. Come on, King. We have a job to do. Well, be a piece of torn cloth from a man's trousers. Let's hope it belongs to the man that killed Tom. Here, get the scent of this, King. Good.
Following the scent, King set a fast pace north from the scene of the fire, past the town of Placerville, and on toward the Black Ace Claim. While Sgt Preston gave King the scent, Tom slept in the shack on the Black Ace Claim. It was restless sleep, permitted by his captors after long hours of stubborn refusal to meet their demands.
Slade, I've been thinking.
Don't strain yourself. I'll do the thinking for both of us.
You said you had to leave Nick's body in that fire.
Well?
Well, maybe the law figures Tanner who's dead. You know what fire can do. Now, if the law figures he's dead, well, then we show up claiming we bought his property.
We're going to claim we made the deal before the cabin burned down. Now, that's our story. We stick to it, and nobody can prove different. After we made the deal, we don't know nothing about Tanner. That's none of our affair.
After Slade, now supposing it goes the other way, what if the law finds out the dead man's not Tanner?
It's still none of our affair. We don't know nothing about what happened in Tanner's cabin. Chances are the law will figure Tanner killed the man and then lit out. He'll probably be hunted as a murderer.
Well, just one thing. We got to get rid of Tanner so we can't talk.
That'll be easy. After we get a signature.
I don't think he's ever going to sign.
Well, we're going to give him one more chance. I'm going to try a new approach. Now get him up. He's had enough rest.
Several of the townspeople had claimed that one of the brothers had killed the other. Preston had known the family for years, and this didn't seem possible. A bitter quarrel, yes, but not murder. Still, there was evidence of bad feeling between the two boys. The divided cabin, the fist fight in town. The lawman proceeded along the route with a heavy heart.
So, while we were looking around the tunnel, we found this new vein of gold. I should have told you the truth in the first place, Tom. You're too smart to swallow a lie like I told you about going to build a sawmill.
Why all the soft talk, Slade?
Because I think you're smart. You must savvy as the ones who found the gold were entitled to profit by it.
But you had no right. What's the use?
Well, we found the gold, but we'll cut you in for a share.
First you beat me, then you want to make me a partner.
Well, I've got nothing against you, Tom. Fact is, I like you. Why, didn't I put a park over you to keep you from freezing when I brought you here on the sled? Now, if you'll just sign this paper...
I'll never sign. Why should I sign over my property to you?
You'll sign it right now or else.
Even though you kill me, you'll still need my signature.
If necessary, I'll forge it.
I'd rather die than make a deal with you.
Sounds like a dog.
Keep your eye on Tanner. I'll take a look. It's a Mountie, and he's coming this way. Get Tanner in the back room and gag him. Morning, officer.
Preston's my name. Sergeant Preston.
Glad to know you, Sergeant. Slade's mine. Fine-looking dog you have there.
Thanks. You here alone?
No, my pals are inside. We got caught in a snowstorm, stopped here for shelter.
Last night, a man was murdered at the Tanner cabin. You know anything about it, Slade?
Who, me? Why, gosh, no. How would I know anything about a murder?
You mind if I talk to your pals?
Go ahead.
I'm King.
Hold it, Preston. Hands high and don't try anything.
Just proved to be the man I'm after. You're under arrest, Slade.
You're all through making arrests, Preston. We...
Tom, you're still alive. You stay there. Here, tie him up here. Turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Boy, will your brother be glad to see you.
Sam, someone here to see you.
Tom! You're all right, sure.
3 men tried to steal the black ace. One of them was killed in your cabin. That's the body we found in the ruins.
They captured me, but Sergeant Preston found him. They confessed and everything. That's all right, I'll tell you the whole story later. The big news right now is gold. There's a rich vein of gold in that mine, Sam.
Well, then you won't want to sell me back your half interest, will you?
We made a deal, Sam. You know, your offer to buy back your interest was the smartest move you ever made.
You still intend to sell, Tom?
Yes, sirree.
Well, I figured you would.
If Sam wants to run his trap lines, that's all right with me. I'll run the mine. But I'm going to see to it that my brother gets all that's coming to him.
And the law will see that these crooks get all that's coming to them.
Well, King, this case is closed.
Sgt Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sgt Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by Sgt Preston. A wild and untamed land of breathtaking beauty, sudden riches, and sometimes sudden death. Moccasin Bend, a small village a few miles north of Whitehorse, gateway to the Yukon. No place in those days of violence and greed was safe from the spoilers who settled among the honest, hard-working miners. To some criminals, the Yukon seemed a land where they could get away with anything, even murder. But because of the constant vigilance of the Northwest Mounted Police, citizens in the territory came to rely upon these brave men in scarlet, and few crimes went unpunished. One of the best of these was Sgt Preston, who, with his great dog Yukon King, answered the call from Moccasin Bend.
There we go. Oh. There you are, Donnie. Hey, you're getting to be quite a man.
Sure. Soon I'll be helping Dad at the office. And I'll be able to buy my own dog, too. One just like King.
Boy. Why the crush, Molly?
Oh, nothing serious, Sergeant. Molly got a touch of frostbite, but her foot's doing nicely.
I can still cook, though, and that's what's important, eh, Jim?
Molly.
I was only teasing. But if you really want to hear my man Fred, just mention the express office.
Still grousing because you haven't enough to guts to take a claim, eh, Jim?
After all, that's what we came to the Klondike for, isn't it? I could have worked in an office back home.
Patience,
Hey,
Jim.
that reminds me, what are you doing away from the office this time of the day?
Oh, a fellow named Daniels, Jack Daniels, kindly offered to help out when Molly was taken down last week.
Jack Daniels. I don't believe I know him.
He and his partner, Mr. Holtz, began prospecting here about last summer. You should meet him, Sergeant.
Be very happy to, Molly. But as a matter of fact, I'll probably be around for 2 or 3 days investigating old Ben's murder.
I figured that's what brought you here. Terrible thing.
Yes, it is, Jim.
I hope you'll bunk here with us while you're in town, and I won't take no for an answer, Sergeant.
Thanks, Molly. I'd be very grateful for your hospitality.
Oh, Donnie, how'd you like to run down the express office and tell Mr. Daniels I'll be a bit late, huh?
Swell. May I take King with me?
Well, what do you say about that, King? Well, there's your answer. Come on, let's get going, you two.
And stay out of mischief.
Oh, Mom.
All right, off you go.
Come on, King.
I wish we could afford a good dog for Donnie. He loves them so.
We will someday. But right now, why don't we all sit down and be comfortable? I don't want you to have a relapse, Molly.
He's still afraid he'll have to do his own cooking.
Oh, Molly!
Well, Jim, what do you know about old Ben's murder?
Nothing, except that he was shot.
Hi, Daniels. The only bad apple in the dog team I bought for us from Indian Joe. Doesn't seem to care what happens once he's out of harness. Ran smack dab into a post a while ago.
I should have known better than to let you buy a team for us. If this is what I think it is, I'll either have your hide or Indian Joe's or both. Why, you blockhead. I ought to kick your teeth in. That dog's blind.
Just a minute. How was I to know? I'm no dog expert.
I'll tell you one thing you're going to know right now. The price of that mutt's coming out of your share of the take. First, you disobey orders and kill old Ben for a measly $100, taking a chance on spoiling our whole setup here. And now, this.
Gee, King, aren't they swell? Wish I had one. Someday I'll have the best dog in the whole world next to you. You just wait and see. Come on. Hi, Mr. Daniels. Come on, Mr. Holt. Come on.
Hello, kid.
Well, what brings you down here, Donnie? Where's your dad? He's late.
Dad said to tell you he'd be late on account of Sgt Preston came to our house. And this is his dog, King. Isn't he great?
Why, yeah, that's fine. What's Preston doing here, Donnie? Is he going to arrest you for swiping cookies?
No. Besides, he's my friend. And I bet he stays with King at our house, too. Just like always.
Why, now, that's fine.
Real great, I'd say.
Gee, Mr. Daniels, is that swell dog yours?
Well, you might say he's mine, Donnie, but not for long.
What do you mean? Isn't he part of the team outside?
He was part of the team, but he's no good, Donnie, so I'm going to have to put him to sleep.
You mean kill him?
Yeah, that's about it, kid.
Please, Mr. Daniels, don't kill him, please.
Look, kid. The mutt's blind. Why don't you run along?
I know how you feel about dogs, Donnie, but what can I do with a blind husky? I can't use him and nobody else will buy him.
I would.
You?
Sure. I have a dollar saved up. I'll show you. I earned it cleaning out Mom's cupboards. There it is. I hope that'll be enough, Mr. Daniels.
Well, kid, if you want the mutt that bad...
What Otto was going to say was, if you want the dog that bad, you can have him. For nothing. Wasn't it, Otto?
Oh, sure.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Daniels.
Here, give me your string.
Being blind makes no difference. I bet King will help me train him, too. Won't you, King? I need a name for him. Something almost as good as a king. What's next to a king, Mr. Daniels?
Oh, a duke, maybe. Or a prince.
That's it, Prince. Come on, Prince, old fella. Thanks again, Mr. Daniels.
You're welcome, Donnie.
Bye.
Bye now.
Come on, King. Bye.
You penny ante crook. I believe you'd have taken that kid's dollar.
Well, it's money, ain't it?
You're too greedy, and you'll hang for it someday. Now get on over to the store with what's left of the team and load up supplies. We're going to need them when we hit the trail.
I'm sorry, Donnie. You had no business accepting this poor animal for Mr. Daniels without asking your mother and me first.
But Prince isn't a poor animal, Dad. He's a good dog. Being blind makes no difference. He's smart. King and I have taught him a lot already. Haven't we, King?
Look, son, a handicapped dog is no better than a lame horse, except on a team.
Jim, aren't we being a bit too hard on Donnie? We always agreed he should have a dog for companionship. Donnie's got no one his own age he can play with. It's not good for him to grow up that way. It's not fair.
Now, look, Molly, no one can accuse me of being unfair, especially to my own son.
Then you let me keep Prince?
I didn't say that.
Well, then, why don't we leave it to a disinterested party to decide? Someone who knows more about dogs than any of us. What do you think, Sergeant?
Looks like I've been elected to judge this case. Well, I believe a handicapped dog, if he's a good one, can, like handicapped people, develop their other senses beyond normal to compensate for the handicap. And I believe that Prince is a good dog.
Then you believe that the dog can be trained to take care of himself?
Well, I've been watching him closely since Donnie brought him home. It's my opinion that Prince is a highly intelligent animal. With love and proper training, I think he could become a real asset, in spite of his blindness.
In other words, you think we should allow Donnie to keep him?
For Donnie's sake as well as the dog, yes.
Yippee!
We'll do as you suggest, Sergeant.
Well, now that that's settled, King and I better get started on the job we came here to do.
You'll be back in time for supper, won't you, Sergeant?
Well, that's problematical, Molly. If I get through in time this evening, I promised Rye Stewart I'd stop out at his place. He asked me to look at one of King's pups he's breaking in as a new lead. I'll get word to you through Jim.
Oh, not tonight, Sergeant. Oh, I have a big shipment of gold going out first thing in the morning, and a long monthly report to go with it. Why, it'll take me half the night to get my paperwork in order.
Well, I'll get word to you some way, Molly. And Donnie, if your mother will let you, bring Prince by the office, and if King has time, you'll show him a few more pointers.
Thanks.
Oh, Sergeant, if you see Daniels, will you tell him I'll be right along, please?
I'd be glad to.
Pardon me just a minute. I'll be right back. Why, you thieving redskin, I ought to...
Oh! Take that knife. All right, on your feet. Now, suppose you tell me who you are and what this is all about.
I'm Jack Daniels, Sergeant. I've been helping out at the express office here. This Indian cheated my partner, sold him a blind dog. I guess I just saw red when I saw him passing by bold as brass just now. I'm sorry I lost my temper. Holt should have known better than to trust an Indian in the first place.
I don't like talk like that, Daniels. There have been more Indians cheated in the Yukon than white men. What's your story, Joe?
White man wrong. Me tell his partner no find best team his price. Him say take any team cheap price. So I take.
Seems your partner got just what he paid for, Daniels. In any case, I've known blind dogs to work out just as well as any other dog on the team. Sometimes better. You two shake hands and forget all about this now. Come on. All right. There'll be no more fighting. Understand? Here's your knife, Joe. Be on your way. The rest of you break it up.
Whoa!
What's all the fuss about?
You and your cut-rate ideas. But never mind that. I've just thought of a plan to get rid of that nosy Mountie and to get even with Indian Joe at the same time, while we make a clean getaway with the gold in the express office.
Sounds great if it works.
It'll work. You unload this stuff over at our cabin. Meet me at Indian Joe's place in half an hour. If he falls for the idea, I'll tell you all about it when you get there.
Okay. But what if the Mountie doesn't swallow your plan?
Then there'll be just one less sergeant on the force for us to worry about.
Kill him, huh? That suits me fine. He's liable to find out who murdered old Ben. Yes, sir, Daniels. Now you're talking my language.
All right, get going.
All right, you Huskies.
Otto Holst went to meet Daniels at Indian Joe's cabin.
The Indian hasn't gotten here yet. I've been making myself at home. Come on in. I've been hoping you'd beat Indian Joe here.
Why, there ain't anything in here worth taking.
Nothing but these. They may come in handy. Quick, hide them in the sled before that Indian gets back.
What for? We can't even get a can of beans out of these.
No, but they could save our necks. They'll make a good plan. Or in case a certain friend of ours gets too smart. These are nice and quiet. And they belong to Indian Joe.
Pretty slick. I'm sure glad you're on my side.
Just remember to keep me there. All right, get these hidden before that Indian comes back. Come on, Ben.
Well, hello, Sergeant.
Hello, Jim.
They're just about the two best dogs ever.
Am I glad to see you, Sergeant. Donnie's been on pins and needles waiting for you. I was beginning to think you weren't coming.
You don't think I'd disappoint Donnie, do you?
Have any luck?
No. Complete blank so far. That's why I came back to the office. I'm going back up and look around old Ben's place again. Maybe I'll pick up some evidence on the second look.
You mean you and King have to leave again already?
No, I'm not taking King on this trip. Rye Stewart asked me to take his new lead. for a sort of fail test. You know, she's one of King's pups. Which reminds me, Donnie, how would you like it if I left King here with you and Prince?
Golly Moses, you really will?
Sure, why not? After all, King's the best teacher for Prince.
How long do you expect to be gone, Sergeant?
I don't know, Jim. Be a few hours. If I'm not back by the time you're ready to leave, Donnie, take King home with you. And tell your mother that I won't be home for supper.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Sergeant Preston.
You're more than welcome, young man.
So long, Sergeant.
Why don't you stay there, King? You're not going with me this time. Bye.
Preston's trip to Old Ben's cabin took him over a trail within hailing distance of Indian Joe's place. But he had no way of knowing that the murderer he looked for in vain was at that very moment close at hand.
Oh! What's the big idea stopping here?
Shut up. Listen. Preston's still snooping around. Give me that bow and arrow you hit, quick. What you gonna do? I'm gonna have a little target practice. And Preston's the target. We gotta get rid of him before he suspects us.
Come on. Trusty Trail's playing hard by these prices, Chinook. Hope we don't run into trouble without King's help.
How you doing, huh? Let's get out of here.
Go!
Preston had a narrow escape. He would have followed the archer, but feared without King's aid he might be ambushed. So he decided to drive on to Ben's cabin for any further clues, then try to locate the arrow's owner later.
Okay, pal. Suppose you tell me what I'm being let in for.
In a few words, you're being let in for half of the gold in the express office safe. I'm sure there must be at least $10,000 in there. Sit down.
Now, that's the good part. What's the bad? How do we get into the safe, and what's more important, how do we get by with it?
By using our heads. I finally got a chance to learn the combination yesterday when Jim opened the safe in front of me. A little before 9, when we can be certain that Jim's had his supper brought to him and he's alone, we lure him out back of the office and slug him before he gets a look at us. After we drag him back inside, we clean out the safe.
So far, I follow you easy. But where does the Indian come in?
The Indian thinks he's taking a load of skins for us to Yukon Crossing. You heard me tell him. So he takes off with the sled north from the office. Everybody will think Joe did the job and is trying to escape. The Indian knows I've been helping out at the express office, so he suspects nothing of my being there tonight.
Okay, so far. But what if you didn't kill Preston?
So, what if I didn't? He'll probably find out the arrow's Indian Joe's. That'll make him light out after the Indian faster than ever.
And what happens to you and me?
Tomorrow night, we split the take and head for the border. Each $5,000 richer. By the time Indian Joe is caught and questioned, we'll be across the border with the gold.
I've got to hand it to you, Jack. You ain't missed the bet.
That's where you're wrong, Otto.
What do you mean?
Nobody's betting. This is a sure thing.
Who is it? Me, Indian Joe. Bad hurt.
Joe? Where are you? Quick, let's get him inside before the Indian gets here.
What the thieves didn't know was that Molly had delayed sending out Jim's supper, hoping Preston would return first.
The skins are already loaded, Joe. You remember your instructions?
Indian Joe no forget. Me take skins to Yukon Crossing for men in a hotel named Smith. Much hurry, no stop. Oh, you pay now?
Here you are. And don't forget what else I told you. Smith's in a rush for the skins. You make fast trip on the trail, he'll pay you more gold.
That's good.
Then get going. And watch out for robbers. Don't stop for anything.
Me go fast. No catch Indian Joe.
Come on, out. Let's make it snappy while the coast is clear.
Dad, we're near.
The kid, quick.
Monkey. Look. Dad, where are you? Dad! What happened?
Indian Joe robbed me. Quick, go get Sgt Preston.
Find Sgt Preston, please. He's probably at Rice Stewart's place. You were there yesterday. Rice Stewart. Understand? Go find Sgt Preston. You want out, fella? Come back, Prince! Come back!
Never mind that dog now. Get me loose.
Prince hated Daniels because of the abuse he had received from him when they first met. He had recognized his scent immediately in the express office and followed him to the cabin.
What the blazes do you think you're doing?
We're divvying up, ain't we?
Not now, you fool. Not till tomorrow night when we're sure everything's okay.
I'd feel better if we split the take now, Daniels.
What's the matter? Don't you trust me, Holst?
I wouldn't trust my own mother with that kind of gold. I say now, Daniels.
Thank goodness King found me at Rice Stewart's place, Jim. Yeah, that ought to do. Now, suppose we go over your story once more.
What's the use, Sergeant? I told you. Indian Joe lured me outside there, knocked me out, unlocked that safe, took the gold, and made his getaway in that sled he sold Jack Daniels. I can believe my own eyes and ears, can't I?
Perhaps. People have been fooled by their own eyes and ears before. You're just assuming that Indian Joe unlocked that safe. You were unconscious. There's one peculiar fact, though.
What's that?
There were two sets of heavy footprints leading in the opposite direction taken by the sled. Then there's the matter of prints.
What about the dog? He ran away, that's all.
Donnie, suppose you tell me once more. What was your dog doing just before he ran off?
Well, he came over and sniffed around Dad, then asked me to let him out the back door. I opened the door and he ran out like lightning.
Prince has an extraordinary sense of smell because of his handicap. Jim, I don't think the dog ran off. His tracks are following the footprints. I think he's trailing the criminal because of someone he recognized.
Well, what are you going to do?
Well, King and I'll track down the dog and the footprints before heading off with the sled. And I'll wire the next town to have them stop Indian Joe. He passes through there. Meanwhile, I think you and Donnie should go on home. Come on. Come on, King.
Ho, ho! Something's at the door. See what it is. Come on. Keep him busy. Offer to give up. Anything. I'll get rid of him.
I want to talk to you, Holt. You and Daniels come out with your hands up.
I'm alone, Sergeant. I don't know what this is all about, but come in anyway.
Over there in the corner. Put your gun on the bed. Now, where's your partner?
Right here.
Down! Back in the corner. Hurry up. Get over there. Get into these. Arrest you two in the name of the crown. You should be mighty proud of Prince, Donnie. He's a real hero today. If it hadn't been for his sharp nose, why, we'd have chased Indian Joe instead of the express robbers and the murder of old Ben.
You mean one of them killed old Ben?
Yes. Daniels accused Holst, and Holst admitted to robbing your safe, also to old Ben's murder.
I'd have been ruined if you hadn't recovered that gold from me, Sergeant. It's a lucky thing you followed those footprints instead of Indian Joe, or they'd be across the border with it now.
They both forgot about the telegraph. It's a simple thing to wire the next town and have Indian Joe stopped and questioned. Being an honest man, he had no reason to avoid the town.
Please, Sergeant, may I ask you something?
Fire away, Donnie.
If my dog Prince gets real smart, I mean even smarter than he is now, could he be a Mountie like King?
Well, what do you think about that, King?
What did King say?
Well, I think he thinks that Prince has been acting like one all along.
Thanks, King.
Well, King, this case is closed.
Sgt Preston of the Northwest Mounted Police with Yukon King, swiftest and strongest lead dog breaking the trail in the relentless pursuit of lawbreakers in the wild days of the Yukon. Back to the days of the gold rush as Sgt Preston with his wonder dog Yukon King meets the challenge of the Yukon. This is the Yukon, the territory patrolled by Sgt Preston. The land of the great stampede for gold, a land overrun by adventurers hardy enough to endure the rugged wilderness in their quest for sudden riches. Wounded Moose, about 100 miles southeast of Dawson. Late in the fall, just before the freeze-up, the miners in the surrounding area brought their hard-won gold to Wounded Moose for shipment back to the States. This was the time when a ruthless gang of hooded bandits chose to strike. Within a week, they committed a dozen robberies and had the entire area gripped in a reign of terror.
Oh, take your hands off of me. Stop it.
Keep quiet and you'll be all right, Mr. Duffy. Go and get him.
Coward thieves, masking your faces to do the devil's work.
We better tie her up before she has a whole town on us.
What's the meaning of this outrage? You ruffians will pay for this, mark my words.
Save your breath, Judge Sparks. We're taking you down to your bank to open the safe. And if you value your life, you'll come along quietly.
If you think for 1 minute I'm going to turn my depositors' money over to you,
I know you will. Take him out and put him on a horse.
What about my housekeeper here?
She'll be all right. Probably the first time she's had her mouth shut in 40 years. Come on, ride.
Mr. Sparks, sir. How did it happen, Mr. Sparks? Oh, my.
Why didn't you do that first, you ninny?
Sorry, sir. Were we robbed?
$20,000 for it. They forced me to give them the combination of the safe.
Who did?
Those hooded men. But this time they've gone too far. I'm calling a town meeting. In conclusion, I suggest that we here in Wounded Moose organize to fight these hooded men who prey on us. I'm prepared to head such an organization, to stamp out the lawless element here in our town.
Seems to me Banker Sparks is getting civic-minded all of a sudden. These holdups have been going on for a week. The fact that your bank was robbed last night have anything to do with it, Judd?
No one invited you to this meeting, Luke Redding.
I invited myself, Judd. I thought I'd better be present when you accused me of being the leader of the thieves.
I didn't say that. You did.
You never had the stomach to face up to me personally, Sparks, but you've been saying it behind my back around town.
Yes, I've said it. I'll say it now. Your cafe and hotel are breeding places for crime.
I run an honest place, Judd. I don't let anyone say otherwise.
Honest. Honest, he says. A former jailbird.
You take that.
It's true, isn't it?
Maybe it is. But that has nothing to do with the way I live now.
Suppose we let our vigilante committee be the judge of that.
I have a better idea, Banker Sparks. Let the Mounties judge.
Mounties?
Yes. Let them find the hooded bandits.
They'd send one man. One man against a gang. Is that your idea of police action? Oh, I see. You think you and your men can handle one Mountie, eh, Redding?
I told you I don't like to be accused.
Well, I do accuse you. We're running you and your Confederates out of this town. And you'll not be able to stall us off with your idea of sending for a Mountie.
They've already been sent for, gentlemen.
Sgt Preston.
Word came to our headquarters about trouble and Wounded Moose. I suppose we all sit down quietly and discuss the matter. I'd like to have all the details.
Joe, you take over the game for a while. Well, Sergeant, I thought you'd get around to me before the day was over. Come into my office where we can talk for a while.
Thanks. Come on, King. I'm going to come right to the point with you, Redding. You're under suspicion.
So, Banker Sparks convinced you too, eh?
No. No, as a matter of fact, I looked up your record before I came here. That's an interesting stick pin you have there. Sentimental souvenir?
All right, you know. So I was the leader of the Vipers. But that's all in the past now. Sergeant, I spent 6 years in prison. I paid for my crimes. I'm straight now, believe it or not.
No need to get your feathers ruffled. We don't believe in hounding a man.
Well, what do you call this?
But we do believe in keeping our eye on all possible suspects.
Well, Sergeant, I'm not the man you're looking for, even though the Honorable Banker Sparks accuses me.
Then who is, Redding? What's your guess?
It could be anybody in Wounded Moose. My guess is that the hooded riders are men from this town. They pull their crimes, ride out, take off their hoods, and come back separately.
That's not much help.
That's all the help I can give you.
Well, thanks, Redding. Well, King, looks like we're going to have to solve this one without any outside help. But we've done that before.
Get Judge Sparks to help you, Sergeant.
What made you say that?
It's logical, isn't it? His bank was robbed, he said.
Look here, Redding. If you're withholding evidence...
No tangible evidence, Sergeant.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser.
Oh, clumsy of me, Mr. Hauser. But I'm late for an 11:30 appointment, and...
Well, I think nothing of it, Mr. Sparks. Thank you.
I'm going out to have a look at that river property Mr. Hover wants a loan on, Struth. Be back after lunch, promptly at 1.
Very well, Mr. Sparks.
Everything all right, Mr. Hauser?
Fine. Why, fine, fine.
Must keep our depositors happy. Good day, sir.
And goodbye.
Is Mr. Sparks in?
No, Sergeant. You just missed him. He's out looking at some loan property. Is it important?
Oh, I guess it can wait. What time do you expect him back?
At 1 o'clock. He'll go home for lunch as usual first. May I do anything for you?
Well, perhaps. How many others besides you and Sparks know the amount of cash that's kept on hand in the vault?
No one, to my knowledge. It isn't information we make public in a district like this.
No, I suppose not. From what you just said, I judge Mr. Sparks to be a man of regular habits.
Oh, indeed, Sergeant. In at 9, lunch at 12, back at 1, locks up at 5 on the dot. Except when something special comes up like today.
Mm-hmm. Where is this property he's looking over?
About 10 minutes walk downriver. But you're more likely to find him at home now, Sergeant.
Well, thanks, Mr. Struth. Come on, King. Come on, King. What are you trying to tell me? Somebody dropped their bank book. You don't miss a trick, do you? Come on, King.
As usual, I'll pass along the orders from the chief. There's $1,000 in dust at the express office. It's been collecting for weeks for the boat pickup tomorrow. We'll get it tonight.
What about the Mountie?
We've thought of that. He'll be far away, his mind on other things.
Such as you're not killing him.
Not Preston. His dog, King.
Ah, and rid ourselves of the greatest tracker in the Yukon at the same time.
And this time, instead of turning the loot over to me as you did before and slipping back to your own cabins, we'll meet here and divide everything. With Preston snooping around, the bank is no longer safe. So we're bringing the gold here.
About time. I haven't seen the color of any money yet.
It's safe where no one would dare to look for it. If we let any of you men throw money around town, people will be asking questions. As usual, we'll meet here at 8 o'clock for final orders. Is that clear?
Sakes alive, it's Sergeant Preston and King.
Hello, Mrs. Guffey.
Do come in, the two of you.
Mr. Sparks in?
No, he isn't, Sergeant. He's late for lunch, and he's always so prompt.
Yes, so I understand.
Won't you sit down and make yourself comfortable while you wait?
Well, thanks, Mrs. Guffey, but I can see him later at the bank.
Here he is now, and me with his lunch getting colder by the minute. Will you excuse me?
Certainly.
You wish to see me, Sergeant?
Yes, I'd like to clear up a couple of points about the bank robbery. But your lunch is waiting for you.
Well, I would like to get back to the bank for one. I'll tell you what, why not drop by and have supper with me tonight? Then I can give you all the time you wish.
Well, you sure it's not too much trouble?
You come along at 6:30, Sergeant, and bring King with you.
Fine. Come on, King.
Stay down, King. Stay down. You all right, fella? Thank goodness he missed you. Dead, though, King. Lay dead. Lay dead, King.
I heard a shot.
You got a gun with you, Luke?
Well, yes.
Let me have it.
Well, don't get the wrong idea, Sergeant. I was just having a little target practice on the way back to town. Good heavens, man, you don't think I'd shoot your dog, do you?
Why not? It's been tried before. Better come back to my cabin with me. I'm taking him along.
Sgt Preston had known at once that the bullet meant to kill King had missed, but had not come from Luke's pistol. Preston had pretended suspicion of Luke to allay the fears of the real gunman, thus hoping to catch him later with other members of the hooded gang. For he felt this unsuccessful attempt on King's life was made to hinder the investigation of the bank robbery.
I'm going to be honest with you, Luke. I don't think you had anything to do with the attempt on King.
Well, that's a relief, Sergeant. I could see all along that he wasn't hurt.
That doesn't necessarily eliminate you from the list of robbery suspects. You could have ordered it done.
Yes, I suppose so. But it isn't true, Sergeant. I'm not a member of that gang.
And I'm inclined to believe that. Up to a point.
You have every right to suspect me, I know, until you run down the real crooks. But look here, Sergeant. Why don't you let me help you? I'll do anything you say. Nothing means more to me now except to clear my name.
Yes, as a matter of fact, you might well fit into my plans.
Just try me. That's all I ask.
What do you know about Butte Hauser?
Oh, only that his claim failed and he makes money doing odd jobs. Plays cards at my place once in a while.
Does he ever have much money to spend?
Well, if he does, he doesn't spend it at my place, Sergeant. Matter of fact, he's on the cuff now for a couple of dinners.
Have you any idea who wrote this note?
No. No, I'm afraid you pulled another blank, Sergeant. But then I'm not a handwriting expert. I guess I'm not much good to you after all.
On the contrary, Luke. If you were dishonest, you'd be quick to make a positive reply to divert suspicion from yourself.
I'd like to help in some way.
You can. Right now, go back to your cafe. Make it known that you're a suspect. Let everyone think that you have a grudge against me because I think you killed King.
Well, I know, but King isn't dead.
Well, up to now, you and I are the only ones that know that. The would-be assassin thinks he is. I'll get word to you if I need further help.
Sergeant, you've no idea how much this means to me.
Well, now comes the tough part, old fellow, for you. You have to stay here while I go on alone. Understand?
Come in, Sergeant.
Sorry to disturb you at this late hour, Mr. Sparks. I suppose you were just getting ready to leave.
Truthfully, I was, Sergeant. It's 5 o'clock, but if there's anything I can do...
Well, I thought I might get a lead on the bank robbers from your deposit records. Needn't detain you. If you show me where you file the slips and leave me a key, why, as soon as I'm finished, I'll lock up and return the key to your home later.
I think you're digging in barren soil, Sergeant, but you're certainly welcome to try. I understand that crook Luke killed your dog this afternoon near my place. That's really too bad.
Well, all I have is circumstantial evidence against Luke.
Oh. Well, there you are, Sergeant. You'll find all the deposit records for the past 6 months in that box. If you wish to go back further than that...
Oh, I think not, Mr. Sparks. This should be sufficient.
Very well. Don't forget, dinner at 6:30. And I'm sorry about the dog.
I'll be there. And thanks for both your help and your sympathy.
It's the least a man can do. See you at 6:30.
Judd Sparks.
Come in. Oh, hello, Sergeant.
Hello, Luke.
Good to see you. Well, I spread the word around about King and me, as you asked.
Yes, I know, and you've done a fine job. I haven't much time. I have to be at Sparks' house in a few minutes. I need some more information.
Sure thing.
You know this area well. Is there an abandoned cabin close to town that the hooded riders might use for a meeting place?
Well, yes. Yes, it could be that old shack down by the river where Larry Barnes used to live. I'll slip over there immediately and see if the place shows any evidence of being used.
I think I know who the mastermind is behind the hooded riders. I have reason to believe they're meeting sometime tonight. I may need your help.
I'm your man all the way.
Well, fine. I'll slip away from here unseen. Be at my cabin at 9 o'clock, and I'll meet you there. And I advise you to wear those clothes. It might be a little rough.
Sure. Oh, that reminds me. When I changed into these duds earlier, I left that stick pin of mine in my tie. When I got back this afternoon, I discovered it was gone. Of course, it's possible I may have mislaid it, but I believe it was stolen.
Do you suspect anyone in particular?
No. Well, why anybody would go to the trouble is beyond me. It's only worth a few dollars cash.
Or maybe a man's future. Well, Sparks is waiting for me. I'll see you at 9.
Make yourself comfortable, Sergeant. The evening's young.
Well, thank you. It's been a long day, and it isn't over yet.
You mean you found...
No, I mean, no day is really over until midnight.
A great sense of humor, Sergeant. I like that in a man.
Did you leave the pin? Right to the safe.
Sorry you have to leave so early, Sergeant.
Where's Sgt Preston?
Right here. What's the matter?
The hooded riders. They've robbed the express office.
Impossible.
When did this happen?
They blew the safe not more than a half hour ago. If I'd known you were here, I'd...
Well, they can't have ridden too far. I may be able to track them down.
Without King?
I'll have to do the best I can. Come in, Luke. I see you've heard the news.
Yes.
We haven't much time. I'm going to deputize you so you can assist me.
There's nothing I'd like better. Oh, and by the way, I checked the old Barnes place, and it is being used.
Did you bring a horse?
Well, yes, but if we're only going to the express office...
Well, you're not. I am. While King and I try to pick up a trail, you ride out to the old Barnes place. Conceal yourself where you can keep an eye on the door. Unless I miss my guess, that's the rider's hideout. Now, if the gang does show up, try to recognize them without exposing yourself. And I'll join you just as soon as possible.
Thanks, Lieutenant Sergeant.
And Luke.
Yes?
Be careful, will you? Now, you're going to see a lot of these tonight, old fella. Get in? Come on, let's go. The trail was easy to follow. They didn't bother to cover it up, thinking King was dead. Here, I found this beside the blown safe. That's my stick pin. An obvious plant. How do we stand?
They're here. 4 of them.
And one more to come. It's probably the leader who doesn't participate in the raids.
What are we going to do?
Well, capture the leader before he enters the cabin. He's the key man. Meanwhile, I'm going to ask you to enter the cabin wearing this hood. It's important we get as much information as possible for a trial. They may disclose other crimes they've committed. King and I shall wait right outside the door in case anything goes wrong. I realize there's a risk involved, Luke. And if you don't feel like...
Say no more, Sergeant. I told you I wanted to prove myself. This is the chance.
Good. Here.
Where have you been? Anyone follow you? I hope you're right. We've no time to lose. We'll divide after the chief gets here. That Mountie's after us.
Anyway, he doesn't have his dog to help him.
It's a good thing this is our last job. If you all value your hides, you'll scatter after we divide up. There's the gold we had stored in the bank from the other jobs.
How do we know it's all there?
Because I said so. Check it if you like. All the pokes are separately labeled, so you'll be sure to get your share.
What's that? It's Judge Sparks.
Hey, Preston.
Let's get out of here.
Stay where you are.
A spy. Let's get in.
On your feet, all of you. And pull those hoods off. Put your hands up over your heads. I'll arrest you all in the name of the Crown for robbery and murder.
Sergeant, where's Sparks?
He's handcuffed to a tree outside. You did a good job, Luke. Let's tend to their wounds and tie these fellows up. We'll pack up that gold and take it back to town. We'll walk you men back to town. Just stay in line and obey orders, and King won't bother you.
I wish I'd have killed him.
Lucky for you, you didn't. Let's go, Luke.
Right, Sergeant.
I'm going to see that you get full credit in my official report for your assistance.
King deserves a lot of the credit, Sergeant.
Yes, he does. Well, start walking, men. King, this case is closed.